Jung Ji-woo, a striving horror webtoon artist, searches for fresh inspiration by delving into urban legends. His quest brings him to Gwanglim Mansion, an aging apartment complex notorious for disappearances and unexplained hauntings. Ji-woo meets the caretaker, a stoic and unsettling character. The man questions why a webtoon artist would visit such a place. Ji-woo explains that he wants to uncover the strange events connected to Gwanglim Mansion. The caretaker reveals that the mansion was once an orphanage. During a sudden fire, the adults abandoned the children and escaped. Every child died in the blaze, and ever since, the building has been plagued by constant supernatural hauntings. Yi Hyung-hoon, a writer, seeks a quiet place to complete his manuscript. He meets the property agent and decides to rent a unit in Gwanglim Mansion. He hesitates at first when he hears loud children from the unit below, but he takes the apartment anyway. While working late at night, Hyung-hoon receives an angry call from his wife, upset that he left home and abandoned their child. He assures her he will return once he finishes his manuscript. While he's distracted, his laptop suddenly flips open and turns on by itself. When he returns to his desk, he pauses, confused by what he sees. The next morning, Hyung-hoon heads to a pharmacy to buy medicine for his headache. A young man rushes in, asking for mildew remover, but the pharmacist doesn't have any. Hyung-hoon takes his medicine and leaves in a hurry, forgetting to collect his change. Back in his apartment, Hyung-hoon turns on his laptop and steps away to get a drink. When he returns, the laptop is gone. A child's giggle echoes through the unit. A nearby room door creaks open, revealing an old, dirt-covered shoe on the floor with a label that reads, Jun U Ram. Hyung-hoon rushes outside to chase the child, but the hallway is empty. Only distant laughter echoes through the building. Frustrated, he goes to the admin office to review the surveillance footage. The cameras show no trace of a child entering his apartment. He accuses the children from the unit below, but the caretaker quickly informs him that no children live on that floor. Annoyed, Hyung-hoon goes to room 404 to confront the children. No one answers when he knocks. He peers through the window and sees several pairs of school shoes neatly lined up inside. Convinced kids are living there, he opens the shoe cabinet and finds another shoe labeled Jun U Ram. Enraged, he gathers all the shoes, puts them into a trash bag, and throws them away. That night, as Hyung-hoon is sleeping, Hyung-hoon gets up to check the rooms, but finds nothing. When he turns around, he freezes. The trash bag filled with the shoes is suddenly back in front of him. He looks through the peephole and sees 3 children standing outside, silently pointing at something he cannot see. Hyung-hoon jolts in fear, steps back and falls hard to the floor, landing on scattered school shoes. Children's laughter echoes around him, growing louder in the room. He looks up and... One day, Ji-woo returns to speak with the caretaker. The man asks what his last project was, and Ji-woo admits it was Scary Horror, a series that failed to gain attention. The caretaker listens, then begins recounting another chilling story from the building's past. Choi Soon-hwa, a pharmacist, moves into room 907. She is secretly having an affair with a married man. One day, she listens to a news report about a man who murdered his wife and 9-year-old daughter. Soon-hwa's mother calls, suspicious that she has a new boyfriend. She firmly denies it, ends the call, and quietly stares at a photo of herself with her lover. But then... At the pharmacy, Soon-hwa startles when her colleague, who is supposed to be off that day, suddenly speaks behind her. Without hesitation, she asks what it's like to be married. Her colleague simply replies that there are 2 things a woman should never do: date a married man and have an affair. Soon-hwa's phone rings. It's her lover, Jung Ho-jun, but his voice sounds strange, panicked, and breathless. He says he will visit her at night. Moments later, her real colleague walks in. Soon-hwa is stunned. Whoever she spoke to earlier wasn't her. That night, Ho-jun arrives soaked and acting strangely. He tells Soon-hwa that his wife has discovered their affair. She insists he should divorce his wife so they can be together, but her demand only sparks a heated argument between them. Later that night, while they sleep, Soon-hwa wakes to the sound of the shower running inside the bathroom. Then, she steps out of the bedroom and sees the bathroom light on, music playing from the radio. Someone is inside, taking a shower. She opens the bathroom door, but no one is there, only the radio playing. Confused, she tries to make sense of what she just heard. The next day, Soon-hwa arrives at work to find two investigators searching for Ho-jun, who has murdered his wife and daughter. Panicked, she rushes back to her apartment to warn him, realizing the news report she heard earlier was about him. When she arrives, she finds Ho-jun's blood-soaked clothes on the floor while he is inside the shower. Suddenly, he warns her, "Don't tell anyone I showered here." Fearing the police, Soon-hwa urges him to leave and quickly gathers their things to escape. But Ho-jun keeps repeating the same line, "Don't tell anyone I showered here," like a broken record. Frustrated, she yells at him. Then the same music from the radio starts playing again, and she goes rigid with fear. A sudden knock startles Soon-hwa. It's Ho-jun, making her confused. He grabs a hammer and slowly approaches the bathroom. Just as he's about to open the door, he stops, faces Soon-hwa, and repeats, "I said not to tell anyone I showered here." The apartment then twists and transforms around them, walls smeared with blood. Soon-hwa is paralyzed with shock. Ji-woo visits the Gwanglim Mansion property agent. His apartment is in disarray, windows plastered with newspapers. He finds the agent trembling beneath the kitchen sink. The story shifts back to the agent's time in room 708 of Gwanglim Mansion. One night, exhausted from work, he returns home and tells his wife he's starving. At the dining table, he eats while chatting about his day, but his wife is a lifelike doll, not a real person. He places a delicate bracelet on her wrist, treating her as if she were alive. That night, the agent wakes to the strange sound of water gurgling in the kitchen sink. He checks the clogged drain and retrieves a string from the document envelope he brought home. The next morning, a plumber examines the kitchen sink. He asks the agent if a woman lives in the apartment, having found a clump of long hair causing the clog. The agent denies it. Later, at the office, he searches company records for the previous tenant of room 708, planning to make them cover the plumbing costs. The tenant's name is Yi Ji-yoon. The agent calls the tenant, but to his surprise, he hangs up the phone, confused. Back in his apartment, the kitchen sink gurgles again, spewing brown, murky liquid. The agent reaches for his phone to call the plumber, but pauses. His doll is missing from the bed. His gaze snaps toward the kitchen. Horrified by what he saw, he goes rigid. One night, the agent, frustrated and depressed, talks to his doll. Supernatural events unfold. A head wrapped in plastic appears on the sink. The doll moves on its own, and the sound of plastic echoes through the room. Terrified, the agent hides in a dark room, struggling to stay calm. Then suddenly, back in the present, the agent, on the brink of madness, tells Ji-woo about Gwanglim Church and admits that he was cursed by its followers. Ji-woo urges him to explain further, but the agent keeps muttering that he only handles marketing for Gwanglim Mansion. Suddenly, he stretches out his severed arms, leaving Ji-woo horrified. Using information from the caretaker and the agent, Ji-woo begins his next project and presents it to his editor-in-chief. The chief is impressed, but notes that the story is short, pressuring Ji-woo to expand the series. Ji-woo prepares to return to Gwanglim Mansion for more stories, but his girlfriend Da-hee stops him and reminds him it's his birthday. Determined to continue his project, he brushes her off and leaves. Driven by greed, Ji-woo meets the caretaker again and presses him for more tales. When the caretaker refuses, Ji-woo begs and offers anything in exchange. Amused, the caretaker finally agrees and shares another chilling incident. Tae-hoon, a student who studied abroad, fails college and decides to return home. Ashamed and with nowhere else to go, he asks his childhood friend Jae-suk to let him stay for a few weeks. Upon entering the apartment, Tae-hoon is struck by the filth, moldy walls, grimy furniture, and clutter everywhere. Jae-suk greets him and offers a meal, but as they talk, Tae-hoon sees unsettling pustules appearing on his friend's face. When he finally looks at the food, everything is rotten and covered in mold, yet Jae-suk eats it as if nothing is wrong. That night, Jae-suk asks Tae-hoon why he chose to stay with him despite having many other friends. Tae-hoon simply says he missed him. He also brings up the mold infesting the apartment and offers to help clean, but Jae-suk gives no response. Tae-hoon turns around. The next day, Tae-hoon is repulsed to find the milk spoiled. Checking the fridge, the stench and rot nearly make him vomit. Then, he notices black mold on the wall, slowly taking the shape of a human silhouette. Tae-hoon rushes to a pharmacy to buy mildew remover, but the pharmacist tells him they don't carry any. He spends the entire day cleaning Jae-suk's apartment on his own. Eventually, he opens a locked room and finds a warped, decaying space consumed by heavy mold. In the center lies a photograph of Jae-suk and his parents. When Jae-suk returns home, he immediately notices the changes in the apartment. Instead of being grateful, he breaks down when he sees his parents' room cleaned and free of mold. He storms out in tears. Already unsettled, Tae-hoon decides to move out that night. As he leaves, he spots black ash on the floor that vanishes in an instant. Then, the door to Jae-suk's parents' room creaks open, revealing the mold fully restored. Jae-suk appears with his back turned, hands covering his face. Slowly, he reveals his distorted features. Horrified, Tae-hoon staggers backward. He is trapped there forever. After hearing the terrifying story, Ji-woo asks the caretaker if the cultists are truly behind the hauntings at Gwanglim Mansion. The caretaker hands him a key to room 1504, saying the answer lies inside. Meanwhile, Da-hee spends Ji-woo's birthday alone. Later, she listens to his interview recordings with the caretaker, but to her shock, she hears only Ji-woo's voice and not the caretaker at all. Growing anxious, she rushes out to find him. Back in Gwanglim Mansion, Ji-woo steps into the elevator and notices a delivery man standing still, his face to the wall. As the elevator ascends, the man eerily says, "Hello," but Ji-woo ignores him. Moments later, the man greets again. Ji-woo turns to look and freezes at the sight of the man staring at him with a wide, sinister grin. Panicking, Ji-woo frantically presses the elevator buttons. The doors open on the 10th floor, and he bolts out, catching one last glimpse of the man's unsettling grin. But then, the delivery man from the elevator appears in the hallway and charges toward Ju, forcing him to sprint through the narrow corridors as the grinning figure closes in behind him. Ju then desperately hides inside an old cabinet. Ji-woo closes his eyes in fear. When the man finally disappears, Ji-woo crawls out of the cabinet and heads to room 1504. The apartment is dark and filthy, lined with amulets covered in unknown script. He finds a mini cassette tape on the floor, picks it up, and plays it. The caretaker's voice begins, revealing his true identity as he starts to tell his story. One winter night, the caretaker and a delivery man named Hee-dong sneak into Gwanglim Mansion, convinced the dead cult leader hid his money in room 1504. Hee-dong hesitates, but the caretaker insists the money could save his sick mother. After breaking in, they begin searching the apartment. Hee-dong notices a large closet, shines his flashlight on the door. He freaks out. In the next room, they find the mummified body of the cult leader, his ankles bound with chains and bells meant to signal his resurrection. The caretaker checks the corpse's mouth and pulls out a key to the closet. He opens it and uncovers piles of money concealed by an invisible spell. As Hee-dong nervously watches, the caretaker greedily stuffs the cash into a bag, until he suddenly vanishes. Hee-dong rushes to grab the remaining money on the floor when Hee-dong tries to escape, but the door won't open until the mummy's face suddenly lunges at him. He bolts through the apartment and sprints all the way to his car. Just as he starts to calm down, the caretaker appears in front of him, and Hee-dong feels a wave of relief. But the caretaker begins murmuring ominously, and when Hee-dong turns around, the mummy is seated in the back of the car. Still listening to the recording, Ji-woo hears the caretaker urge him to check the closet. Suddenly, the mummy appears, and Ji-woo is forced inside, trapped with no way out. The caretaker manifests in front of him and calmly says he's going to miss him before turning away, leaving Ji-woo breaking down in the darkness of the closet. Da-hee steps into the admin office of Gwanglim Mansion. The door ahead creaks open, and Ji-woo slowly emerges. She stops cold. Something in his posture, in his silence, feels wrong. Ji-woo greets her with a sinister smile, one that tells her the man she knew may no longer be there.